皆さんこんにちは、アリーです。Hi everyone, my name is Ali. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing my March and April study recap video. So as usual guys, if you haven't seen the previous video for this year's study recaps, then I would advise you to go and watch it because I'm not going to be repeating a few of the background stuff that I explained in that video. And let me tell you what categories we're going to look at today together. Alright, so putting my glasses on guys. First, we're going to talk about language learning, my Japanese language learning first, and then my Chinese language learning. We'll cover the online courses or MOOCs that I covered between March and April. And then finally, we'll end on a note about the reading I've been doing for the past 2 months. While preparing this video, I actually realized that I could improve slightly the way I present my studies, specifically for these study recaps, so like the video that we're watching right now. I've been doing this same kind of study recap since the end of the year 2023, so it's been a while, and last year we've done monthly study recaps every single month of the year, so we have 12 videos plus an entire full recap for the year, so in total 13 videos related to the studying that I did last year. So that means I do have quite a bit of experience now creating these study recaps for you guys. And so recently I realized that there was one thing missing which I could add to the study recaps, and it was sort of an explanatory thread to tell you guys what my general direction behind my studies is. And I guess I've been doing that last year in last year's study recaps through the monthly goals that I presented you each month in each study recap. But this year I don't have monthly goals. Instead, I have general directions that I am aiming for, and that covers not only language learning but also the MOOCs I'm taking, so the online courses that I'm taking, and also my reading, in fact. So starting with this study recap, I'm going to tell you guys what my general direction has been for the past few months or the past few weeks, depending on how much time has elapsed. And so for this one today, and for Japanese specifically, between March and April, the general direction I gave my Japanese language learning was to improve my speaking skills, first of all, because I had at least 2 big interviews face-to-face that I had to get ready for. Those interviews were part of a big project of mine that I'm taking care of at the moment, and those interviews were going to be with native speakers of the Japanese language and also in quite a formal setting. And so I had to really focus on my speaking abilities and making sure that they were fine for this kind of setting and this kind of goal, I guess. So this is mainly what I've been focusing on during March and April. And coupled with that, the second direction I had underlying my studies was a focus on my listening and reading abilities. And so I was really mainly concerned about making sure I understood close to 100% or even 100% of anything I would consume in the language, whether it be in written form or in oral form. So there you go, guys. That was the underlying theme to my Japanese language learning for March and April. Now let's dive a little bit more into what I actually did. I have my notes right here, so this is why I'm looking down this way, so sorry about that. From March, I really started thinking about a more appropriate and focused study plan that would prepare me well and I guess in a fast manner for those interviews. And so what I started doing at that point in time was to modify my listening immersion goal from 3 times a week to a daily practice. So essentially every single day I trained myself to listen to at least one thing in Japanese. The duration of it didn't really matter. However, I was really focusing on expert talks, so about any topic really that interested me and that was easy for me to focus on. So there was a lot of economy, there was a lot of education topic, science related topic, everything that you guys have seen me be interested in for the past few years. So there's nothing new under the sun here. It's just that I really focused on that during March. And because this kind of talk was also, I guess, the way that I expected myself to also output in the language during the interviews that I was preparing for, I practiced a lot of shadowing at that point in time, which led to me formulating my own sentences and expressing my ideas and specifically answering the questions that I thought were going to be asked during the interviews. So I had a bunch of, I prepared that as well. So I spent a few hours on this, just preparing a document, recapping the questions that I thought were going to be asked during the interviews. And so based on the questions, I then formulated my own answers. And then essentially I practiced those answers using the sentence patterns and vocabulary that I would encounter during my listening practice. So this was a cycle of daily listening, shadowing, and then speaking practice. And all of that was done by myself. I was just doing it by myself. I did not use any specific resource during that time, but essentially this cycle was always moving in my daily study routine. So I spent the entirety of the month of April doing that and really honing my skills, essentially, and also focusing on the implementation of this new study routine because it was much more intense than what I was doing since the beginning of the year. And so per day in March, I think I dedicated at least 2 hours of Japanese language practice and really use and honing of my skills. Now in April, my focus shifted a little bit to reading on top of listening. So I didn't do as much speaking practice in April, and I really focused on, I guess, bridging the gap in my reading skills because there was still a small gap in my reading comprehension skills, looking at it from the top, okay, the top being native level. So looking at it from the perspective of how fast and how well a native speaker is able to understand written language. I've been assessing my own skills, and so there was still a gap there, but now at the end of April, and actually today, the day I'm filming this video is the 6th of May, I feel myself coming more and more towards a near native level, so I'm very happy about it. But it was really down to the practice, the reading practice that I did during the month of April. So I did two things. I was reading a lot of fiction and also non-fiction during March and April, so that's the first thing. And I really focused on making sure I understood close to 100% of anything that was written, like I said earlier. And then the second thing I did was to resume my active studying using my N1 resource, which is Yoku Wakaru Dokai. And at the moment, I am close to, I think, 50% completion on this textbook, or more like practice book. And I've been loving it. It's quite challenging. There are definitely quite difficult texts in this practice book, so it is challenging enough for me to still be interested in using it. So to recap how my Japanese language learning has evolved, or the results of my Japanese language learning for this past 2 months, I would say that I have noticed a big leap in comprehension skills, both in written form and oral form, and also a big leap in my speaking abilities. And so I'm really happy about this. As you can tell, I have put on the back burner any practice of my writing skills because it wasn't the focus. So I really put that on the back burner for now. I really needed to focus on my speaking skills, which I was able to do. So overall, this is a big win, and I feel so much more confident now in my speaking abilities. So I guess, in a way, from the end of March till mid-April, I sort of did a small boot camp by myself for speaking practice in Japanese, and it was really efficient. So that was a win. All right, now for my Chinese studying, so the general direction behind my studying for the past 2 months has been to bring myself to conversational level in Chinese, because I am now at a lower intermediate level and I should be able to start speaking. And in fact, I say I should, but my point is for the past 2 years, I was working my way towards this objective. So naturally, I'm now feeling it. I'm feeling the fact that I am on the verge of starting to speak. So I've been focusing on that, focusing on bringing myself to start speaking. So on top of the online courses I've been taking, well, online tutoring lessons, I should say, on the Cafe Talk platform every single week, for at least an hour per week. On top of that, what I've been focusing on mainly has been daily listening immersion practice. So just like Japanese, I have actually made this now a daily goal for me to listen to something in Chinese every single day, again, of whichever duration, doesn't matter so much. I've also been focusing on grammar rules, and so I have only been very rarely, only sporadically adding new grammar rules to my mental palace for Chinese, which means that I haven't been studying that many new grammar patterns or grammar rules. I've been focusing on reviewing the ones that I should know by now. And so this cycle of having lessons with my tutor, doing daily listening practice, and then reviewing grammar, this cycle, doing over and over again each week, that has brought me closer, really much closer to a speaking level finally. I'm not expecting myself to speak very well in the beginning, especially since I will have a lot of issues with tones still, for sure. And also I lack quite a lot of vocab. But my point is that I am starting to make sense of the language finally. So when I hear it spoken, I can finally understand what is being said, up to an extent, of course. In general, what I'm saying is that I have been priming myself for this whole time to have a breakthrough, and I'm happy to tell you guys that the breakthrough is coming. And so I'm just waiting for it to occur, but I'm sure it won't take long from now, since I have had the same experience with Japanese, and I know that the way I feel now is the way I also felt right before I started speaking in Japanese. So I'm very excited for it to happen with Chinese. For a deeper dive, and I guess more comprehensive dive, into my daily and weekly routine for studying Chinese, I would actually direct you guys to the video that just came up on my channel, which was all about that. I brought you guys along with me for about 2 to 3 days on a particular week, and specifically to show you my Chinese study routine. So if you're interested in that, please go and watch that video. Alright, you guys, so the second category of today's video are my online courses and the recap of what I've been studying using those online courses, or MOOCs in fact. And the general direction there is that last year in the summer, when I decided that I would actually kind of restart my studying, or rather independent studying using online MOOCs, since I had actually started doing that in 2019 but then stopped because I focused on Japanese language learning. So last year, like I said, when I decided that, I curated quite a big list of MOOCs that I was interested in from a few different platforms, few different online platforms, which I'm putting on the screen right now for you guys. And so essentially this whole time I've been just working my way through them. So you've seen me cover quite a few courses already since summer last year, but then I'm taking it slow also, because this is not the only thing that I'm doing and that I'm working on at the moment, but this is definitely a big project of mine in my life right now. So this is the general direction, and I'm sure I've explained that on a few different occasions, but let me just say once again that I'm doing that for personal growth. Primarily, it is to further my own knowledge and skills. And whatever I learn today is something that I won't need to learn in the future. So in March and April, I have covered 2 courses. The first one was my psychology course offered by Yale University on the COURSERA platform. And then the second one was an intercultural contact course, part of the Intercultural Studies course category offered by the University of Leeds on the Future Learn platform. Let me just tell you a few things about those courses because they definitely deserve an in-depth review. So concerning my psychology course, Introduction to Psychology, like I said, offered by Yale University and given by Professor Paul Bloom, who I believe is perhaps a living legend now in the ivy-covered halls of Yale University.
Gilmore's life before she enters the ivy-covered hollow halls of Yale University. Schedule, please. Okay.
As said in Gilmore Girls, if you guys have the reference. Let me just tell you what the aim of the course was so that you have an idea, of the context and what it's about. What are people most afraid of? What do our dreams mean? Are we natural-born racists? What makes us happy? What are the causes and cures of mental illness? This course tries to answer these questions and many others, providing a comprehensive overview of the scientific study of thought and behavior. It explores topics such as perception, communication, learning, memory, decision-making, persuasion, emotions, and social behavior. We will look at how these aspects of the mind develop in children, how they differ across people, how they are wired up in the brain, and how they break down due to illness and injury. Now, the original duration of the course was 14 hours, but I can tell you guys that I have spent well over 50 hours on this course because I did a ton of additional research on the side by myself, independent research, and also because I spent a lot of time going through the online textbook that goes with the course. And overall, it took me 8 weeks to finish this course. And those 8 weeks, I'm not gonna lie, were kind of life-changing. The topics that were covered in the course were all topics that I have been wanting to learn more about or learn everything about since, I don't know, many years ago, like for ages. So I was very excited to go through this course, and I can tell you guys that it delivered, and I am like 0% disappointed. It was absolutely amazing. So this is the reason why I am giving this a 5-star rating without the shadow of a doubt. 5-star rating, and I would even recommend it to anyone who is even remotely interested in any of the topics covered in the course. It is actually a free course that you can go through on the Coursera platform. You can take it for free. You just need to register an account on the Coursera platform. And if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to register on the Coursera platform, you can access this course for free on YouTube. So everything is linked down below, by the way. It is so amazing, this course, that it was actually chosen by Yale to be part of their Yale Open Courses initiative. And so that is why you can also have access to it on YouTube. Paul Bloom is absolutely amazing. I think he's an amazing teacher, an amazing professor. And quite honestly, thanks to this course and all the references that I've gathered from the course that I still need to go through, so a lot of research literature, but also a lot of books. I have a list of, I think, 8 books in total, and I've read 2 so far. I'm going through my 3rd one at the moment. So psychology is really a topic that I'm going to keep in my study background, I want to say. So I will keep returning to this field and this topic quite a few times until I'm satisfied, which I'm not sure will happen for at least a few years because there is a lot to learn, and I am interested in absolutely everything. So it makes it a bit harder for me to go fast. That was amazing. 100% recommend. All right, and the second course I went through Introduction to Intercultural Studies, Intercultural Contact. And this was actually in April only, and it took me 2.5 weeks to finish that one. So it was not a long one. So the aim of the course this time was to learn how the principles of intercultural contact may challenge the way in which you think about social interaction. Though I will say that this short summary of the course really doesn't say much about it. So let me just tell you that, for me, apart from this, what was the most beneficial, like what I found the most interesting in this course was that you essentially learn everything about acculturation, the acculturation theory, and primarily the CASA model. And on top of that, there is also a full introduction of the field of ethnography. And so those two things, to me personally, were the most beneficial out of the course. And they're really the key points that I am taking out of the course, let's say. So you will learn all about that if you take the course. And I was very happy to learn about that too. The course was actually meant to be completed in like under 10 hours, I think, but I took about 20 hours to complete everything and also to do a bit of additional research again, because some parts of it were really, really interesting to me. For this one, I wasn't expecting anything in particular. I took it because I intend on taking all 5 courses that are part of the Intercultural Studies category offered by the University of Leeds. So they have 5 courses, like 5 small courses, all going into this big category of intercultural studies. So I didn't expect anything in particular from this course, but actually it was really interesting. So I'm happily surprised. And this is why I would give it really a 4 out of 5 star rating. I'm taking out 1 star just because I would have liked for it to be a bit more in-depth, because I was coming from the Yale University course on psychology, and that one was really a full-on, hands-on kind of course that took a huge amount of time to complete. This was way too simple and too superficial in comparison, again, with what I had just gone through in my psychology course. So this was as much as a good thing as it was sort of a disappointing thing, but nonetheless, it was still very, very interesting. Alright you guys, so we're almost at the end of today's video, and since I don't want it to be too long, I am going to leave out the reading highlights part of this video, and I'm going to make an entire video on it, covering my reading highlights since the beginning of the year. So that video will do a lot more justice to all of the books that I have read this year so far. As of today, at the date I'm filming today's video, I have read more than 40 books actually this year already, so I've read a lot. And truly, so far, the quantity did not matter as much as the quality, because I have read amazing books in both fiction and non-fiction category, and in both English and Japanese. So this is why I think I will have a lot to say, and this is why I want to make an entire, like, proper video about it. So don't hate me for this. I won't tell you today exactly what I've read and what my experience has been like, so I'm sorry, but you will have that in a proper video very, very soon on the channel. I will probably make like 2 to 3 videos this year, specifically on my reading highlights, covering a few months of reading each time, so that I won't have to make a big recap at the end of the year. So I think we're gonna go with that plan. I hope you're excited for that, and I guess that's the end of today's video. So thank you for watching. As usual, guys, please make sure you look at the description below, because I have linked or mentioned every resource or book or course that I have talked about today. So if you're interested in any of it, please take a look at the description. And as for me, I will see you guys in my next video on the channel. それではまた次の動画でお会いしましょう。バイバイ。またね。